Hi everyone, it's John from Modoc. Welcome back to another video, and happy Wheel of Time Wednesday 2.0. Yes, this is take 2 of the casting announcements that dropped this morning from He Who Tweets with the Dawn, the Wheel of Time official Twitter account, and the production team, as well as Variety Deadline, where we talk about the Andoran royalty. So we got some castings this morning. Today we're going to talk about Queen Morgase, Lord Gaebril, Lord Gawyn, and Lord Galad. Gawyn, absolutely my favorite character. I can't wait to talk about him a bit. And these are all new castings for Season 3 of Sony and Amazon's Wheel of Time show. So if you're new here, consider making us your source for Wheel of Time news. Like the video if you do like what I'm doing. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so to support the channel. It really does help us out a lot here. Now, I did say this was 2.0. I did say we're taking another crack at this is because the press release that was initially put out there was wrong. And in the original video, I used that information from the press release, which we had no idea was wrong, to make that video. So the video's still up right now. It'll be deleted by the time this actually gets posted. And we're going to talk just a bit more in the spoiler section of the video about how that happened, what had happened, and I'm going to show you my face when I found out it was wrong and we had to redo all of this because I was live in the Dusty Wheel. Pretty hilarious. All right, folks. So the castings that came out this morning are the Royal Andoran family. These are coming for Season 3. Now, if you don't know what Andor is, if you haven't read the books, don't worry. We're going to get through the first part of the video completely spoiler-free. The press release I'm going to read off of is mainly spoiler-free, so there's very little spoilers there. But we'll give you a little backstory. So Andor is one of the major countries within the world of the Wheel of Time. And in fact, the Two Rivers is within Andor, and we start our story there. Now, the Two Rivers hasn't seen a tax collector, rather, in a few centuries, and they probably don't think they're part of a country, but rulers tend to believe the maps, and they are. So Andor is a fairly important country and location for the entire book series, and we've already seen one of the royal members on screen, and that's Kiera Coveney, who plays Elaine Tracan, the daughter heir of Andor. We've seen her during Season 2. So now we're meeting some of her family. We're meeting her mother, Queen Morgase, her two brothers, Gawyn and Galad, and her mother's lover, Lord Gaebril. So without further ado, we're going to get into these castings. Queen Morgase is going to be played by Olivia Williams. Now, Olivia Williams is an absolute gem of an actress. If you don't know who she is, she's been in a ton of different things, all the way back to The Sixth Sense. I don't know if you've seen that little M. Night Shyamalan movie that came out in the 90s, but an absolutely wonderful movie. She's also been in Rushmore, The Crown, a bunch of other stuff. Basically, her credits list is one of the longest to the entire cast. She has a lot of experience. She brings a lot of regality and gravitas to the screen, and she is a wonderful actress. Now, again, she's also recently been in Dune Prophecy. I don't know if you folks have watched that, but she's absolutely killing it on screen. I made that joke during my last video. I'm sticking with it. I still think it's funny. If you folks have seen it, then you know what I'm talking about. It's funny. It is. So anyway, Olivia is going to be playing Queen Morgase. Now, what I'm going to read to you about all these character descriptions here, they're going to be directly from the press release, so they're not very spoilery. And I will do a little caveat here. They are a little bit different than what you expect from the book series. There are some changes here. We're going to talk about that and address that in the spoiler section of the video too. So, Queen Morgase, Morgase Tracan, the Queen of Andor, did not inherit her throne. Rather, when the succession was left without an heir, she waged a brutal war against a half-dozen noble rivals, and thanks to her political savvy and utter ruthlessness, she won. She's sworn ever since to shield her daughter and heir, Elaine, from ever having to endure what she did, and do what she did. But far from being a tyrant, Morgase has become one of the best queens Andor has ever known. Now, Morgase is an absolute gem of a character in the book series. She is not integral to very many plot lines, but the one she is into, we'll talk about in the spoiler section of the video, and I'm really excited to see what Olivia does with this character on screen, because when she was first cast, actually, this is something else I have to mention. All of these members we're talking about today, all 4 cast members, were already released by WatchSeries.com. If you don't know who WatchSeries.com is, I've left a link to their website down below in the description box. Go check them out. They leak all kinds of Wheel of Time news. They're absolutely fantastic people, and they do a wonderful job with it. The roles weren't known, but they did know the actors and the actresses, and they did release those. So this is sort of kind of new to the fandom, but not totally if you're following the news as closely as I am. Anyway, Olivia Williams as Queen Morgase. Pretty excited to see her on screen for Season 3. Next, we have Nuno Lopes. Nuno Lopes is an actor who absolutely excels at playing the villain. He is just wonderful at playing the bad guy on screen. You probably know him from White Lines or The New Look. He's been in a ton of different stuff as well. He's going to be playing Lord Gaebril. Now, Lord Gaebril is Queen Morgase's male consort. Both her lover and advisor, he assists in overseeing matters political and military. Andor is a matriarchal society, and so his power and influence, though vast, are always second to that of the Queen, to whom his loyalty and services are sworn. Now, Nuno Lopes is also a DJ and a musician. So when his role was kind of revealed by WatchSeries.com, or his participation in the show, rather, not his role, was revealed by WatchSeries.com. There's a whole lot of people thinking he's playing some other characters that are a little bit more musical. That is not the case. He's playing Lord Gaebril. Lord Gaebril is not known for his musical ability within the book series. We'll get into what he's known for in the spoiler section of the video. Next, we have this gentleman right here. This is Luke Fetherston. Now, when we talked about the press release being wrong, which we'll get into in great detail in the spoiler section of the video, it was because of these two actors, Luke Fetherston and Callum Kerr. Now, Luke Fetherston was billed as playing Lord Galad, and Callum Kerr was billed as playing Lord Gawyn in the original press release. That's not the case. Luke Fetherston is playing Lord Gawyn, and my absolute favorite character in the entire series. I love Gawyn to pieces. We'll talk about that a bit more in the spoiler section of the video, and I'm very pumped that we actually get to see him on screen. In fact, some of you have probably already noticed I'm not wearing my signature one-up shirt. I'm instead wearing a white boar on a field of green with the word Younglings above it. That's Gawyn's sigil, and Younglings is the military unit that he commanded during a good portion of the series. So this is a big shout out to Gawyn. Love the character, absolutely. And I think Luke Feathers is going to knock it out of the park. Now, you don't know who Luke is. He's been in a couple of different things you've probably recognized him from. That's Big Mood or Doctor Who, a little show called Doctor Who. He has, I think, is going to absolutely knock it out of the park when it comes to Gawyn. Now, the Wheel of Time so far has done a very good job of taking characters that the fandom does not like, or that aren't really that great, such as some of the Forsaken, Leandrin, things of that nature, and making people absolutely love them. I don't think Gawyn's going to be any different, because he is a character that is mostly reviled within the fandom, and he's my favorite character. And it's mainly because how well written he is. Not because he's a great person, not because he does great things. He's just written really well, and I really love that about him. So, Lord Gawyn of House Tarkand is a royal prince of Andor and his older brother, and is the older brother to Galad and Elaine. Despite being the firstborn, he is not the heir to the throne. Andor is a matriarchy, and so the role of heir falls to his younger sister, Elaine. Now, again, press releases are mostly spoiler-free. They're very broad strokes in detailing these characters, and they are already showing us some changes, because in the book series, Gawyn and Elaine are brother and sister. Galad is their half-brother, and Galad is the older one. And Galad's last name is not Tarkand, it's Damodred. And we'll talk about that, I guess, later in the spoiler section, too. Anyway, this is our Lord Gawyn. I've been very, very, very much waiting for this casting to come out, and I'm really excited to see it. I think Luke's going to absolutely knock it out of the park. I'm very excited to see what he does with the role. Next, we have Callum Kerr. Now, Callum Kerr is a musician, so he plays country music, and you can see a lot of that on his social media, such as his Instagram. And he also has acted in a bunch of different things. You probably noticed him from Hollyoaks, maybe, or Monarch. He's been in both of those shows, and he's going to be playing Lord Galad. Now, Lord Galad is a royal prince of Andor and brother to Gawyn and Elaine. Galad is a skilled fighter, famously handsome, and protective of his younger sister. Pretty bare-bones description of the character. If we give much more away in this particular section of the video, we're going to get into spoilers, so we won't do that. But either way, these are the castings we have. We have Morgase, Gaebril, Gawyn, and Galad, the Andoran royal family +1, and I'm very excited to see how they do in Season 3 of the show. For those of you not staying with the spoilers, let me know in the comments down below what you feel of the castings and how perfect is Gawyn. Just chef's kiss. Absolutely perfect as far as I'm concerned. I'm really excited about that. All right, now we're going to get into the spoiler section of the video. So for those of you who have not read the book series, we're going to get into spoilers right up to the end of book 14. So that's The Eye of the World Through the Memory of Light by Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson. We're going to ruin plot points and character arcs from both of those mediums, talking about these characters, the role within the books, and how they're going to fit into the show. All right. So yeah, that press release, folks, it came and it went. It was something. So if you folks want to see how I was when this press release came out, this here is a screenshot of my face, and Kevin's face, and Matt Hatch's face, when we found out there was a secondary tweet this morning about 40 minutes after the first one came out, retconning the original press release, talking about the changes and the mistakes that were made, and everyone quickly had to take heed and fix some stuff. Dragon Mount had to fix their things. I'm doing this video now. Variety, Deadline, a lot of the other major publications had the articles written based on a press release that had incorrect information. They had Callum Kerr as Gawyn, Luke Fetherston as Galad, and yeah, so that's why we're doing this video, folks. That's why I said Happy Watt Wednesday 2.0. This is August all over again. What would it be in the Wheel of Time fandom without a few mistakes here and there and a little bit of chaos? I'm not going to be too upset about this because I think it's hilarious that people other than me make mistakes like this. You guys watch my videos. You know I make mistakes all the time. And I do this for fun. I couldn't imagine being paid to do this, and like the people at Variety or Deadline, and getting things messed up based due to a press release and having to scramble last minute to fix it. That'd be uncomfortable. But me, it's just a hobby. I do it for fun, and I think it's kind of funny. Either way, that's why we're doing the video. All right, so Olivia Williams playing Morgase. Now, Morgase in the book series is pretty important to a couple of different storylines, but as far as the show goes, I think she's only going to be important to one. Now, it's intertwined with Lord Gaebril. So in the book series, Morgase is Queen of Andor, and Lord Gaebril comes in, and he kind of ousts her current advisor. Now, when we talked about Lord Gaebril in the beginning of the video, he was her advisor, her consort, her lover, in charge of military and politics, and had power second to no one except her, basically, in the kingdom. That sounds a lot like Gareth Bryn. Gareth Bryn was her military advisor, also a sometime lover, and did some politicking for her as well. Was one of the great captains. It kind of sounds like they're taking Lord Gaebril's character and mixing him a little bit with Gareth Bryn. I'm not saying he's not going to be new, a new addition to the royal court. He probably is going to be, considering who he is in the books. But I think Gareth Bryn is not going to see screen time. I think we're going to see Lord Gaebril instead. And one of the big storylines that I think that we're going to see kind of play out on screen is a storyline where Lord Gaebril comes and he's revealed to be Ravine. Now, Ravine is one of the Forsaken, and he uses massive amounts of compulsion on Morgase to basically use her as a puppet. He then takes control of her country, does all kinds of unspeakably terrible things to her, and just kind of is king in all but name only. And that leads Rand finding out that that Ravine killed Morgase, which he did not do. That was the rumor that Morgase was killed by Ravine, and I think he's kind of let that propagate, and went and killed Ravine. So that was the catalyst for the confrontation between the two of them. However, in the book series, Morgase didn't die. She escaped. She ended up going to the Fortress of the Light and being with the White Cloaks for a bit, and then from there ended up traveling as a servant with Perrin for quite some time. I kind of got humbled from being a queen all the way down to a servant. And I'm not saying those storylines are not important. I think they totally are, at least for the book series. But with the truncated time that we're going to have on screen, I believe it's probably a good idea to cut most of that. So I think that we may see a very brief Morgase on screen, maybe some of season 3, maybe ending with either her death or her escape, but I don't think we're going to see the rest of those storylines from Morgase. And I don't think we're going to see Lord Gaebril revealed as Ravine until the end of the season. My guess is he'll be an end credits sort of bonus feature like Malkedian was for season 2. I think we're going to see him revealed at the end of the season as being the next big bad for next season, and then next season we'll spend some more time in Andor than we are here. My guess is the Andoran storylines are going to be very short, very truncated for this season, mainly because they have some major storylines they have to get through, some major things they have to do, and they don't have much time. We get 8 hours, folks. So I think these people are going to be introduced to set them up for a bigger storyline within season 4. We get back into the intrigue of Rand kind of taking over countries and whatnot. Either way, Nuno Lopes, I think, is going to knock it out of the park as Lord Gaebril / Ravine. I think we're going to get a reveal of him, but not till much later on in the season. And I did mention earlier in the video that he's also a DJ and a musician. So there's a lot of people, when he first got revealed as being in the cast, thought he'd be Asmodean, who is a musician, who was a court bard, was a composer, was a gleeman in the series, but also a Forsaken. That is not the case. Now, there is some theories out there that they're combining the two of them. I can't see it happening, but we'll have to wait and see what season 3 brings. All right, we're going to skip Gawyn because I want to end with him because I love Gawyn so much. We're going to go right to Lord Galad. Now, Lord Galad in the book series, again, can do no wrong. He always does everything right. He does everything to his own code of ethics, and he never bends the rules for any reason, which is part of the reason why eventually he joins the White Cloaks, because he sees their base philosophy as being right. Some of the things they do are wrong. He ascribes that to more human behavior, and he is doing his best to sort of be a good guy all the time. But he's so good, he is so good that he's just annoying on page. A lot of people love Galad a whole lot. He's supposed to be billed as the most beautiful man ever. Callum Kerr, of course, looks like he's built from stones and bricks. He has the jawline of, I don't even know what you'd call that jawline. The man is pretty. I will say that he 100% is. Beauty is subjective though, because Lanfear is supposed to be the most beautiful woman, and there's a lot of people that did not find her attractive during season 2, and they were very vocal about that. There's gonna be a lot of people that say the same thing about Callum. Just remember, folks, just because you don't find someone beautiful does not mean they're not the beautiful in someone else's eyes. So conventional beauty is sort of a subjective thing. That's just it. Um, Anyway, so Galad, I think in the show we're going to see him on screen just a little bit next season. I think we'll probably see him joining the White Cloaks, or perhaps already being a White Cloak at this point in the series, since they're going to accelerate things so fast. And we know that Rafe Judkins has said we're getting a certain fight scene between Matt and the two brothers, Gawyn and Galad, a quarterstaff scene that happens within the Tower training grounds. He said it would make sense for the show. It's going to be changed to make sense for the show, so whatever that means, make it more realistic, make it more believable. So I don't think Matt's going to be sickly and dying, just being healed from the dagger, and then he comes down and they make it bad and he fights them. Might be more organic, might be during, say, the troubles, the first 15 minutes of the episode. Could be another time when Matt's down there training and they're sparring together just to train. I'm not 100% sure they're going to handle it. That scene is there, and I'm very excited to see it happen. Either way, here we have the Lord Galad, and in the book series, like I said, he does join and eventually join the White Cloaks, and his storyline throughout the White Cloaks time during his rise in the White Cloak ranks is incredibly important to a lot of the things that happen in game. I don't know if we're going to see that on screen. I think some of it may happen off screen, and he may be bumped forward pretty quickly and gain rank in different ways than he did in the books. Either way, I'm excited to see what happens with Lord Galad next season. All right, now we're gonna talk about Gawyn. We're gonna spend the next 3 hours talking about Gawyn. No, not really, but Gawyn's my favorite character. Luke Featherston's an absolutely amazing actor, and I can't wait to see what he does to the role. And I know a lot of you out there thinking, why Gawyn? Why John? I've said it before, he's well written. He is absolutely amazing. Robert Jordan was a character writer at his core. He loved writing characters. He did a very, very good job describing characters, their growth, and the things they did. And I love that aspect of the Wheel of Time. Gawyn is one of the most well-written characters in the series, in my opinion. In the book series, essentially, he was raised first Prince of the Sword, so he was important, but he was never near as important as Elaine, and he was basically told that his life was less than hers his whole life. He was raised wealthy. He's royalty. He's a blade master. He is charismatic. He is attractive. He is strong. He is capable. He's agile. He's all of the things that you would expect the stereotypical hero to be in a series. And in his mind, he's that hero. 100% the man has main character syndrome, and he leans heavily into it throughout the series. Why do I think he's so well written? Well, he's very, very young, and I've known in my lifetime a lot of young men that act and feel the exact same way. They are all emotion, no logic, no thinking. They lead with their hearts at all times, and it always ends in disaster. Now, if you take a look at the three Turkans, you have Elaine, you have Galad, and you have Gawyn. I know I'm saying the three Turkans. Bear with me here for a second. We're going to explain how that's a bit different in a minute as well. But the three of them, you have Gawyn is pure emotion. All gas, no brakes, doesn't think. Galad is pure logic. He is pure what is right. He is pure justice. He is pure... He's the other opposite end of the spectrum of Gawyn. And then you have Elaine, who has the best of both worlds, who I believe is the most well-rounded Turkan, and probably the most fit to rule. She has the emotion, she has the compassion, she has the ability to think for herself, she has the ability to reason, and so she kind of embodies the best of both of those characters. So they're three sides of the same triangle, in my opinion. Now, Gawyn in the book series, of course, he just flies through the book series thinking he has plot armor, he's the main character, leads with his heart. He finds out his mother dies and is killed by Rand, which is not true. That is not the case, but he believes that throughout most of the series, no matter who tells him different. The love of his life, Egwene, tells him different, and he still doesn't believe her. He believes some rando on the side of the road that told him that Rand killed his mother, and he continues to believe that right to... very, very late in the series. anytime someone gives him good advice, anytime someone says, this is how you should do it, he kind of balks. He doesn't do it. He leads with his heart. He always thinks he knows better. That's part of the reason why I love him so much, because he doesn't change. He is one of the very few characters that experience absolutely no growth from the first to the end. He gets worse, if anything at all. And I've said he's integral to the plot line of the story, and I stand by that. Some people say you cut him and you would never notice it. But the man makes so many bad decisions. He makes so many disasters happen that the ripple effects from his actions affect everyone around him, and it changes the course of the story for good or bad in a lot of different ways. The Wheel of Time is mostly about the ripple effects people have on other people in the age lace. So if you do something, it's going to affect everyone around you. That's why Ta'veren are so powerful. They affect large parts of the pattern all at once. I'm not saying Gawyn's Ta'veren. In fact, he's not. But he does affect a lot of people in the story, and he does affect a lot of the storylines in a major way. I'm glad they included him in the show, not just because he's my favorite character and I love him so much, but because I think he's very, very important. Right up to and including the last battle when he is with Gawyn. She has bonded him as her warder. He is there to protect her, to serve her, to do what he can to her, to make her life easier, to protect her. And in his own mind, he does his own thing. He's like, Gawyn says, do these things to help. And he goes, okay. And then he does none of the things. Instead, he puts on a bunch of dangerous tearing rails and basically challenges the most dangerous swordsman of almost any age to a duel and loses in spectacular fashion. And when he dies as the warder of Gawyn, it causes some major ripple effects during the last battle and what goes on there. I'm not saying that things wouldn't have happened beforehand, but he does cause a lot of things to happen unintentionally throughout his entire tenure in the series. I'm very excited to see how that plays out on the screen. Now, we have to address, I think, the elephant in the room, because a lot of you at this point, and in the last video, I read some of the comments before I started making this, but Galad is not a Shirkan, he's a Damodred. But Galad is older than Gawyn and Gawyn. But. Yes, 100%. I do agree with you with those things. Those are facts. Those are book facts. This is a show. It's going to be a little bit different. They're making some changes here. And in my opinion, it does make sense to change Galad to a Turkan rather than a Damodred. It does make sense to have the first Prince of the Sword older than his brother rather than his half-brother, just because then they don't have to explain that stuff. The Damodred part for Galad, the fact that he's their half-brother, is a very small part of a much larger plot line that is really only talked about a couple of times during the book series, and it's paid off relatively late in the books, and it doesn't really change a whole lot of things. At the time when the books are being dropped, it drove a lot of theories about his blood on the rocks of Sheo Ghul, how that related to Rand, what it meant, did it mean his family, his distant relations, the actual blood from the wound in his side. There's a ton of different things that happened there, and I think that was the purpose for it. Not 100%, but I think that was part of the purpose for it. But to do that in the show, it would take time, it would take effort, it would take additional screen time that we don't have. You got to remember, we get 8 hours a season, and if we're lucky, we're getting 8 seasons. I don't think we're getting 8 seasons. It'll be less, so they have to truncate things greatly. So to have something in like that is basically flavor text and fan service to people who have read the books, but doesn't impact the major storyline in any significant way that can't be explained in a different fashion, I think does a disservice to the fans who are watching it, because then you're taking away from other things that may do well. And there's been lots of complaints about that. Well, they put this in. Why didn't they have this? This would be one of those complaints, in my opinion. Either way, I will do a full video on the heritage and the family ties between House Turkand, House Damodred, Lan, Rand. Everybody's kind of convolutedly related in some way, shape, or form in some distant fashion. We'll talk about that in another video. There are sources out there, but I'd love to do a video on it because I think it'd be fun. And then later this week, we're going to do a deep dive into Gawyn's character. We'll talk about him in great depth, in great detail, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. So let me know in the comments down below what you folks think. Did you find it hilarious I did do a second video because the press release was wrong? What do you think of the castings? Olivia Williams, are you excited? Luke Fetherston is Gawyn. Of course you're excited. I'm excited. Let me know what you think about everyone, including Lord Gaebril. Will he be Ravine next season? Will he be a different Forsaken? Will they not pay that off at all? Will we see him as a big part of the storyline? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below what you folks think. Anyway, thank you so much for sticking with us here to the very end, and here's to many more.